All right, so lit. I want to refill my water, but I'll just knock this out real quick. Basically, a couple things. I went on a walk and just talked to myself, so to speak, to get clarity. And here was the main takeaway. I'm gonna try to condense it. It was a 45-minute walk, but basically I was feeling very overwhelmed, very stuck, out of control, and impatient. I guess victimizing and just feeling a sense of entitlement towards, I've worked for 10 years towards music. And that's just to get to a place where I can just be at least making like what I'm making from my job from music would be just so amazing that I have frustration when I have to endure. I feel like I've sacrificed so much to make this thing happen that at 27, I'm 28 in 3 months. Like, it's impatience. It's ultimately impatience. It's ego. So anyway, I was thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, look, it's within the realm of possibility that tomorrow I wake up and I have $1 million in my bank account, or 1 million streams, 100 million streams, right? I'll wake up tomorrow and it's possible. It's within the realm of possibility. And I could just sit, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not, next week, in a week, in a month, whatever. Like, it's within the realm of possibility. Just wake up one day and it's just there, based off of, what's James Clear from Atomic Habits say? Like, your reality is a lagging indicator of your habits. So physically, your body is a lagging indicator of your health. Financially, your bank account's a lagging indicator of your financial habits, etc. So I go, okay, well, I've been working 10 years, like, it's probably gonna be a hockey stick. It's gonna be nothing, and then boom. And people are gonna be like, wow, damn, that shit happened overnight. It's like, yeah, well, if only you knew. And I think it's just a desire for that to happen so much that is frustrating. You feel powerless when you don't see the way out. I'm grateful that I have a job. I'm grateful for all my blessings. And I also, on the other hand, feel not discouraged, but like, obviously it's not just about the money, or else I would have not been doing this for 10 years. It's like, that being said, it's like, dang, bro, like, can I make a little money from this, So, I think it's frustration at myself for wasted time, days where I just felt anxious and overwhelmed. And I think then you feel guilt and shame for that. And so there's one possible route here, which is it just happens, right? I keep doing exactly what I'm doing. And then there's an alternative, and I was asking myself, I would like to think, the way I look at it at least, and I know there's people that don't believe in God or higher power of the universe, but I believe that I'm able to download from a higher intelligence than I some of these ideas. Because how is my state changing from confusion, frustration to clarity and like a vision, so to speak. Regardless, what I downloaded was this option B, right? Which is like, yeah, I'm still hopeful option A works, and it just, happens, so to speak. And not from nothing, right? I do feel I deserve it. I do feel worthy of it, predicated on this work that I've done and continue to do and will continue to do. And that's part of the desire for it, is I want the creative and financial freedom to do this, right? To just do it, to not have to like go to work, to have a block day of sessions, to just have that freedom. And a lot of people want that. It's not that crazy of a want, but it is crazy in the grand scheme of things. It's why very few people have that, I guess. And why I've sacrificed for my 20s. I understood that subconsciously. The second alternative is discipline. Like, if I really look myself in the mirror and I go, okay, bro, it's how do we make progress within my control, right? It's because like that's ultimately what it is. Yeah, it's ego and it's awards and it's money and it means all these other things, but ultimately it's a sign of progress. It's like waking up with a million streams, you know. And like even now, my monthly listeners went up from like 1,500, 2,000, 2.7K. It's like 100 monthly listeners. It went up. Like, bro, that's progress. That's a win. That's excitement. Lack of progress is lack of joy, excitement, or self-esteem. And I think that's what it is. That feeling of stuckness comes from a lack of progress. So entertaining this option B, right, is like, okay, Odysseus, the story of the Odyssey, Odysseus. He wants it's discipline. You got to tie yourself up to the boat if you want to, you know, or you got to plug your ears and just lock in and ignore the fucking sirens. You know, it's like one or the other is required, or you get lost in the sauce. I think that's something that's super hard in this day and age. There's so much distraction. A friend told me yesterday, the phone is a portal. If you're watching this right now, it's a portal. You can access this capturing of this moment for me through a portal, and we can get lost in the sauce of this. And I think, you know, sleep, healthy foods, exercise, prayer, gratitude, connection with a higher power, visualization, meditation, whatever you want to call it. Discipline, locking in, right? Financially, being aware of where my money's going. I could be investing in my career, you know, food and physically. So I think like that's the big reframe is like, okay, how do I just make progress? How do I make progress within my control? I believe this will happen where it's going to be a hockey stick thing. I don't know when. And also, this is my belief in a higher power. And entertain it if you don't actually have this belief, but entertain it for the sake of this example. You're going to be rewarded for the effort you put in. Even if you don't know that. Like, you go to the gym every single day, you're going to get healthier. And I feel like part of that is, it's just law. It's just science, right? And I think that is the same way. And it's like, instead of sulking and comparing and worrying and doubting and anxiety, letting go and showing up. Prove to yourself, prove to the higher power, whatever, however you want to look at it, that you know, you can show up, honor yourself, honor the higher power, honor your gifts, honor the ability, the time that you do have, and create. So, you know, show God your dedication, actions over words, which is part of where, like, I'm even hesitant to talk about this, because it's like, I want to do it, you know, but this is me documenting, I guess, this year, and this is where I'm at right now. So plan, pray, practice, persist. I really think that, like, you know, I always thought, like, man, like, people can just, when I was a big stoner in high school, I was like, people can smoke so much, people can drink so much, like, people can, and still win, you know? But I feel like I always felt like the way for me to do it was just like, I guess, discipline. I think I also got dopamine out of discipline. Like, in high school, when I was on baseball, I would want to go, even though I wasn't on varsity, I would want to wake up, get up early and go run around the track and do a workout with the varsity kids. I wanted to, you know, I've always admired greatness. And I think it's really hard to stop and go, okay, I feel stuck. I know I need to change something up. it's really hard to go, hey man, I'm slacking. And my standards for myself have dropped. Even if the norm is those standards. Because it's like, bro, I'm overweight. I'm sick. I am sick. I'm physically sick. I'm overweight, physically sick. This is like sickness. This is. And you might go, oh no, that's not that. Bro, this is sickness. You can go to the extreme where it's like, oh, I'm 10% body fat, I need to be. Yeah, I understand there's eating disorders on both spectrums. But the reality is this is a sickness. We have not adapted to the reality of being inundated with porn and these screens and addictions, and food, abundance of food. We're not used to that. We don't know what it feels like to really be hungry. And food is medicine, especially when you're sick. You know, I think it's okay to have a treat. It's okay to have a glass of wine when you're celebrating. This is my philosophy, bro. I'm not judging anyone else, but this is where I'm looking at it. It's like, I don't really drink, you know. I'll drink with intention if we're studying, you know, beverage, wine tasting, whatever, like for fun, which I don't think I've ever gone wine tasting. You know, romantic evening. I think with intention, you know, we're having burgers or whatever, like, but when that becomes the norm and you also are not in a calorie deficit, you speaking about me, you get sick. And when you have a cold, you take medicine, you heal. And I'm not saying everyone needs to do this, but I'm saying this is where I'm at. This is just really me documenting and sharing what I'm realizing over the last few days. You know, it's devotion, right? Creating content out of service, and the discipline in the metaphor of the Odyssey and driving by the sirens or sailing by the sirens is the discipline with your health, with my health, with my consistency with making music, my consistency with making content, tracking my calories and macros, my health, my music habits, my financial habits. All this discipline is the rope and the crew. It's putting the rope on so that I don't jump in the fucking water when I hear the sirens. And telling the crew, hey, no matter what, no matter how much I ask you to untie me, do not untie me. I think that's the way. That is the way. That is how you get the six-pack, i.e. get to hear the sound of the sirens. As discipline. It's the only way. You know, if you just want to eat unlimited, it's not a recipe for success. It's sickness. Will lead to death ultimately. And I don't think it needs to be that serious. Like I said, like, I'm not perfect, you know. I got a breakfast burrito the other day, but I think part of the key there is like grace and kindness with yourself, but also like Alex Hormozy talks about it. It's like, don't skip dessert. It's like, as long as you're within your macros, like, you can eat whatever you want. Even that is a good example of discipline. It's like, I have these ropes. It's constraints. It's saying, yeah, I can do whatever I want, but with constraints. And I think that we think freedom is I can do whatever I want. And I think that an idle mind is the devil's playground, right? Anxiety. That's what it is. There's no real tangible benefit. Going outside for a walk and talking to yourself, like, clarity. You know, sitting in your head and scrolling, and even my algorithms are pretty solid. Like, it's like health and protein and like music and mindset and business and entrepreneurship and like occasional humor and like, I don't know. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Another thing that I'm planning on doing with the music, I just put this song out, Fed Up, with Rocky Fresh. Rocky Fresh, I was a huge fan of in high school. I literally changed my Twitter name, not my not my username, but my Twitter, the name, to Rocky Fresh, just because I was like, it's a cool name, and I was a fan of his project, Electric Highway, and the fact that at 27 I have a song with him is crazy to the 17-year-old me. It's insane, bro. It's so cool. And so I think one of the things that is exciting about that is like, even if it doesn't do well, it's a win, and it makes me want it to do well because I kind of feel like I owe it to him. And I've hit up Skizzy Mars and he hit me back too about getting a song with him. So, I don't know, man. I'm just trying different things here, whether it's trying to get on playlists or social media short form. One other takeaway with short form that I feel like resonated, I was listening to this Forrest Frank dude, very religious, not religious, but I guess very like spiritual. I think that's why I relate, dude. And he talked about content as service. He was on a podcast, and that really resonated. And just creating out of service, out of devotion, So I think that's the thing, is the ego gets in the way. For me, at least recently, when I'm sitting down to create, it's like, take yourself out of it, and so, yeah, and also tracking my finances and being better about that. I've gotten into credit card debt, immense credit card debt twice, and whatever. So, yeah, it feels hard sometimes, when you don't know the way out, when you've been working at this thing for so long. Dude, I was going to open mics in high school, senior year, driving downtown LA, doing open mics. I did open mics at college and did Engraved, started a collective and did Sunday sessions, had people at my house every week, and season, 3 months remaining, and then season, and then COVID, and then, this whole time I'm dropping music. This whole time, I put stuff up on SoundCloud I've since taken down. I did 2-3 EPs and mixtapes in high school. ASB's Most Wanted, like college, and then after college, come back to LA, and then I go out to New York, Zico and Friends, Quadio, come back to LA, in the rut, working at the restaurants, like Lamp, 9 months, intense, come out of that a year and a half ago, and it's like, bro, I exported $200 from the work I've done with Bungalow like a week or two ago, and I was so geeked, bro. Like I've made like $1,600 total on my DistroKid over all that time, and that's with collaborations, like as a writer, producer on other people's stuff where I'm credited. And so to just get like 200 from like a few songs I worked on with them, like, it feels like you don't know. I use this analogy when I was talking to my friend who talked about this idea of portals, and we had this great conversation, 3 or 4 hour conversation. And I was just saying, like, it's like someone's like, go for a run, and you don't get to know how long the run is, and it just, at a certain point, you're like, even if you love running, at a certain point you're like, bro, like, why am I running? How far am I running? How far do I have to run before I can, like, and then you have bills to pay and you have to go to work. It's like, I don't know if it's the best example actually, but it just, if you could just get paid for running, at least, it's like, yeah, I don't think it's a good example actually. With that all being said, I'm extremely blessed and grateful for my blessings, and doing my best to focus on those despite the times that seem hard and unbearable. And I think oftentimes being stuck is a mindset, and so if you could shift your mindset slightly, and I guess TLDR, spend some time with yourself, just talk to yourself, talk to God, pray, meditate, journal, reflect. just might unlock the way forward. So, as always, keep going. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm one behind because I didn't get the newsletter and vlog out last week, but we're going to get it out. You know, one step back, two steps forward, baby. Blessed. Keep going. Peace.